obligatory to one brand, so that's virtually the only variation to these cars. Some suspension modifications are allowed, and the event is co-sponsored by Road Hug, the Henderson's road holding and handling equipment. And there we have the cars on the front row of the grid, pole position with young Robyn Hamilton and the Gary and Warren Smith car from Brian Sampson in car number 78 in the Pioneer Stereos car. On the second row of the grid, Alan Goff in the Barry Shields Holden ended car. John Harvey back, and it's unusual to see John Harvey so far back in his Mollison Motors car number 76. Number 18 moving back is the Bendigo Motor Company car of Brian Reid. Car number 10 is Mike Manier. Car number 19 is Bernie McClure, and car number 12 is John Goff. This is another one of the Goff brothers, and the first time we've seen young John Goff competing here in the Gemini at Calder. Flags down, and almost a jump start from Brian Sampson to lead away from Robyn Hamilton in second position. John Harvey trying to move right across there to gain the third place running. All the taillights coming on now as they go to Repco corner for the first time. But it's the Robyn Hamilton car that's going through very nicely there. Up this long Bridgestone back straight for the little Geminis. It probably seems quite a ways. Robyn Hamilton just in front of John Harvey, with of course Brian Sampson well out in the lead in first place. To Channel 7 Colour Sport corner the first time, and there they come. Sampson from Robyn Hamilton. John Harvey trying both sides to get past her, and eventually gives in and follows line astern through the X-Waces. Robyn Hamilton through very wide. Is going to allow Harvey to come through on the inside, but he can't quite make any more distance on her. Down the front straight here to complete lap one of this 8-lap event. Brian Reid and Alan Goff a little further back there having a side-by-side battle. The cars diving to try and sort themselves out, get their best line around this very, very tricky Repco corner. Robyn Hamilton still managing to hold off John Harvey. There they come out onto the Bridgestone straight once again. The second and third placed cars of Hamilton and Harvey being made up quite a distance now on Brian Sampson, and in fact these three becoming very bunched. Harvey trying the outside line there to Channel 7 corner. Can't quite make it the outside. He's now gone through and has in fact got past Robyn Hamilton on the inside of the X-Waces, and up with the nose right on the inside of Brian Sampson. Sampson nearly spun it. He's managed to straighten it out. Virtually side by side now with Robyn Hamilton in the slipstream of John Harvey. But it's Harvey through, and Robyn Hamilton also through on Brian Sampson. Well, there's a complete reversal of positions from the previous lap. Harvey down into Repco corner. Robyn Hamilton all but touching. Brian Sampson only half a car's length away in third position. These cars not the fastest on the track, but certainly they're getting very, very close. Harvey, of course, the number one driver, the Marlborough Holden dealer team, going to be driving at Bathurst with the legendary AJ Foyt. There's a complete change of scene, of course, driving the Gemini to what we'll be seeing John Harvey in the next few months. Robyn Hamilton still doing a great job to maintain her second position. Brian Sampson still in third with Brian Reid, having made up quite a distance from the fourth row of the grid, come down in fourth position. The field quite strung out now. The rear of the field being brought up by John Goff. Here's the Furious Dice first. Still it's John Harvey from Robyn Hamilton, Brian Sampson, and Brian Reid. They come down past the Bridgestone side. Now starting to nose forward now. The brakes having been applied very hard. Harvey really throwing that car around on its radial tyres, not allowed to use racing tyres. They must be a radial type tyre. There's Harvey coming right across the track to try and to get Robyn Hamilton out of the slipstream. spun on the straight. He was trying so enthusiastically to get rid of Robyn Hamilton from the slipstream. Here's Brian Reid coming out really wide to the right-hand side of his screen to try a very fast approach to this very tricky Repco corner. There's 3 or 4 lines that can prove to be just as bad as fast per lap. But some of them you come in too fast and then have to leave the corner slower. The majority seem to like to come in a little slower and get the faster exit to the Bridgestone straight. Up to 7 Colour Sport corner once again. John Harvey, you can see the amount that he's throwing the car. He's just about spun it and they've come together. Robyn Hamilton completely, unfortunately, into the side of John Harvey then. He's once again going right over the side of the track. This time getting through on the inside. Brian Reid trying a passing manoeuvre, once again going right out to the left-hand side of the track. All the brake lights glowing brightly there. Brian Reid, having taken that fast entry line, has lost a little time there. Still, he's just about side by side, but perhaps Robyn Hamilton has slightly more power there. He's just able to hold him at bay. Brian Sampson, having been well left behind now after being the initial leader. Brian Reid, in fact, as we speak, about to lose his third position from Brian Sampson back up there. Well, certainly it's a race of changing fortunes. Robyn Hamilton driving really magnificently. John Harvey at that time having been able to just get a break of a couple of cars' lengths. Now that he has that amount of brake, Hamilton isn't going to be able to get into his slipstream, so perhaps he might be able to just slip a couple more places. There's cars going everywhere there as Brian Sampson also tries that outside line manoeuvre, but in fact that got him very little, if any, advantage. Robyn Hamilton, she would just be praying for one more horsepower, even half a horsepower perhaps, to get her up. The cars are so very, very evenly matched and of course very, very evenly driven. There's Robyn, gets just about up beside John, the wheel flapping in the breeze there. It's almost as if there was no suspension. Harvey getting the tail right out again, and once again they've had a coming together. Well, it's bad luck for Robyn. She's really not doing anything wrong other than being where John Harvey wants to be.
I think she's just quicker through the corner. That's the trouble.
We saw at the last meeting that she had tyres that seemed to be an advantage to her. Perhaps, in fact, this is the case once again. Brian Reid coming through on the inside of the line, and there it is. Robyn Hamilton's through to the lead once again. Well, I just about give up after this.
I think John Harvey and Brian Reid and Brian Sampson might too.
Well, what a tremendous effort. Robyn Hamilton, a little girl.
She's only about 5'1" or 5'2", Kerry.
She can hardly see over the steering wheels. Yes, she's doing a great job. John Harvey not giving in, of course. Brian Reid having lost some more distance that time, but John Harvey's going to try. He tried going each side before. He might even try going over the top now. I think that might be going his salvation. These Formula Geminis, as mentioned earlier, not the fastest cars on the race circuit, but certainly exciting. Robyn Hamilton, from having gone off the circuit there, maintained a position. Harvey's up, he's side by side as they go past the start-finish line. And John Harvey it is who we think is going to lead down into Repco corner. He's on the outside line. Yes, he's made it around. John Harvey to lead. You'll notice on the back of Robyn Hamilton's car that she's a P-plate holder. That's a similar situation to a road car P-plate where the driver is on probation. But certainly Robyn Hamilton is giving a first-class display of driving and is, I'm sure, just about eligible to have that P-plate removed. Well, there's 2 cars right off at the end. They didn't even attempt to go around the Channel 7 Colour Sport corner. I think it was the 2 Bryans, Reid and Sampson, who went straight on at the end there and allowed these leading 2 cars, John Harvey and Robyn Hamilton, to come up. But it's the last lap and Robyn Hamilton's off the track. The checkered flag is out. They're back on the track, but it looks like it's going to be John Harvey who's just going to be able to hold on to that very tenuous lead. And there it is, the checkered flag flags out about 3 cars' lengths to Robyn Hamilton. Brian Sampson made it back third position.
Alan Goff.
Sorry, Alan Goff snuck through there in third after Brian Sampson and Reid went off. It gave them the 4th and 5th positions. Well,
Kerry,
I'm just about breathless, Adrian.
Well, Bob's just told me Bob's been doing the lap score here, and I thought their scoreboard showed that they had finished the race 1 lap before the checkered flag came out. Now, if that was the case, Robyn Hamilton has won. So it's going to be very interesting to see exactly what happens.
Well, that is interesting. I was too busy watching the race and talking about it to watch the General Motors scoreboard.
Well, I looked up at the scoreboard and I saw that, you know, it was the last lap, and I was nearly going to say to you the checkered flag, and I looked out and there wasn't one. So anyway, I think she was morally the victor.
I think so. Perhaps the officials were too busy watching the exciting race to think about the checkered flag.
Certainly amongst the crowd here anyway. What a tremendous race, and a great drive by all the drivers in it, but more particularly for John Harvey and Robyn Hamilton. Robyn did a great job to come in then. There's a little bit of damage on the back of John Harvey's car there, and I imagine that Peter Landy will have something to say to them, and they'll have something to say to him. You can watch it now as they come through Channel 7 corner, and there are the other 2 going off, the 2 Bryans straight off the edge, and that allowed Alan Goff, of course, to come in 3rd spot. You can see him just coming through in 3rd position as Harvey lifts that wheel and bounces the car in the air. I think the reason is that the Mollison Motors car has a much thinner diameter roll bar across the front. They tell me that the Gary and Warren Smith car of Robyn Hamilton's has a very thick roll bar, and certainly the front of that car stays down. She doesn't lift a wheel at all.
Well, perhaps John Harvey might be buying one of those road hug roll bars, do you think?
I think he might get a set of those Michelin tyres too that Robyn Hamilton's wearing at the moment. Anyway, Peter Landy will be down on the grid. Not quite ready for us. Now, there you can see how tiny Robyn Hamilton is. Beside John Harvey, she barely comes up to his shoulder. But we'll have a little bit of that in a moment. But you've been watching exciting motor racing from Calder Raceway on the 7 Network Colour Sporting Service.
Formula Gemini Series, round 3, and as you probably gathered in the commentary, a little bit of discrepancy how many laps were actually run in the race. Sit down for 8. Robyn Hamilton crossed the line first after 8, John Harvey after 9, but he also got the checkered flag, so I'm going to leave that to the stewards to work that out. In the meantime, well, I'm going to present that to you, John, and you can present it to Robyn if you like. I don't really care. It's not my dispute, but... Okay, terrific. An interesting race, and you both nearly lost it a couple of times.
Yeah, it was a pretty one of the hardest races, I think, in the Gemini series. Robyn's a very determined young lady and drives that Gemini very well, but today I was equally as determined, and I was determined to win. As far as I'm concerned, whether it was 8, 9 or 7, I won it.
Robyn, you seem to be driving more vigorously every time we see you.
Yes, no, well, there was certainly a reason for it today, that's for sure, because it was certainly a close dice, and whoever comes out the eventual winner, in my opinion, deserves it.
You looked even quite nasty on the S's up here.
I could have been too, I felt it.
Well, we don't know who won. We'll leave that to the stewards, but it's 1st and 2nd or 2nd and 1st. The Quinella is John Harvey and Robyn Hamilton, not necessary in that order. The official wreath, and Dave Burton from Road Hug has the official winner's check anyway. Dave, come over here. I can't hear you from there, Dave. Come over here. That's better. That's much better.
And stand next to you. This is going to be very awkward. I might have to hastily tear a cheque in halves, but since you got your hand out first, John, you're pretty quick that way, yes. Congratulations to both of you, whichever way it went, and to whichever one that stewards finally opt to pick first. We'll certainly be backing up with an additional presentation of Road Hug suspension accessories, either for you, John, for that dreadful GDS road car that you belt nearly as badly as you do your race car, or for you, Robyn, for your Towmaster. Congratulations to whichever anyway.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Dave Burton from Road Hug. So much for the Gemini race today. Spectacular as usual. More coming up from Calder on Channel 7 in just a moment.